Sure.
I just wanted to ask because Michael Mansell from the Tasmanian Aboriginal Corporation said that he'd like to discuss their views with you. I think he said that you're not welcome to Tasmania until you do that. Is that a group that you're intending to consult with before the referendum?
Well, look, we're consulting very widely. We have a referendum working group. There have been an extensive consultation, 5 years consultation from 2012 up to 2017 before the Uluru Statement from the Heart was made, and then 6 years since then. There will be a process this year where there will be a parliamentary committee examine the legislation that will go forward. That's required under the referendum. There will be extensive, continued, ongoing consultation with people. But that doesn't mean that everyone will agree, but it does mean that overwhelmingly Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have come together and have said overwhelmingly this is the direction. The what is constitutional recognition. The how is through a voice to Parliament.
You've dismissed calls for more information on the referendum as politically motivated, but we're also hearing these calls from non-political Indigenous leaders. Do they have a point?
Well, you're paraphrasing me there. What I've said is that what is before the Australian people in the draft wording of the referendum is very clear. There is a clear question that in recognition of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders as Australia's first peoples, that's the recognition bit, and then there are 3 points. One, there shall be an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. 2, the voice will advise on matters that affect Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. And the 3rd is the Parliament will legislate for the structure and other processes, the detail of the operation of the voice. That is what is before the Australian people. It is very clear, given that I made that announcement, put that forward last July in response to people saying, what is the question going to be? That was made now 7 months ago. In that 7 months, there has not been a proposed alteration. We have a referendum working group. We have a group of constitutional experts, including former High Court justices, Professor Anthony and others, looking at the detail, legal issues as well, along with convened through the Attorney General's Department. There will be further detail there, but part of the detail is that it will be legislated because it's subservient to the Parliament. It's not on top of the Parliament. And everyone will have the opportunity to have input to this.
When can Australians expect to vote in a referendum?
They'll vote, and I've made that clear as well, that they will vote in the second half of this year. There is a timetable that is required so that for those people who say that in terms of the consultation processes which are there, the clear timetable which is required under the law is that you will have the passage of the referendum machinery legislation will occur in the coming session. You'll then have an introduction of a constitution alteration bill. There'll be a parliamentary inquiry into that legislation where people will have the opportunity to put forward their views. There'll be a debate on that legislation in the House of Representatives and the Senate that will involve all members and senators. And then after the passage of that legislation, a referendum can only be held on a Saturday between 2 months and 33 days, i.e. a bit over 3 months, and 6 months after the bill is carried. So there is a time frame there for when this can occur, a clear process of engagement and involvement and consultation further on top of the consultation for an idea that was first raised last century and that was begun the process in 2012, leading to the Uluru Statement in 2017. So for those who say there hasn't been detail, the truth is that one of our major parties has already determined that they will vote no, without looking at any of that. But the referendum working group will provide further detail. They've already put out there the principles which are there, and those principles include no veto over legislation. It won't be a funding body. It won't run programs. It is an advisory body. Recognition and consultation. That is what this is about, and that is what Australians will have the opportunity to vote for, to advance reconciliation at the end of, during the last half of this year.
Is there any progress on the Macquarie Point stadium business case, and do you personally see it as an effective form of investment?
Look, I'm working cooperatively with the Premier. Today, we're here talking about healthcare, and that's our priority today. But the department has received the report. If I'm asked, should Tasmania have an AFL team, I say yes, because Tasmania is an important part of our nation.
What's
The Macquarie Point plan, though, is about urban redevelopment. It's not just about a stadium, and that's the basis of the consideration that we'll be giving. We take the expenditure of taxpayer funds seriously. We'll be examining as part of our budget process.
What's the current status of the review into the Darwin port, and what are the terms of reference and timeframe?
The Darwin port is being examined. We'll report on that, given the nature of the report. We'll report on it when it's finalised.
Ukraine has been calling for more support. Would Australia consider sending tanks over as well as more bushmasters?
Look, I'll be in Bendigo later today, and I'll be in Bendigo looking at the bushmasters which Australia has provided, which have made an enormous difference. As well as the bushmasters, a practical difference on the ground, making a difference for the people of Ukraine in their struggle, which isn't just for them. They are struggling and fighting for the rule of law. They're fighting for national sovereignty. They're fighting for the right of a smaller country to not be invaded by a larger country. We have a land war in Europe. Australia is providing bushmasters, and what's more, we are providing the support by Australian defence personnel currently have travelled to the United Kingdom to provide that support on the ground. Thanks very much.